No more pretending. Nobody told Ciara that ordinary would be the thing that got her. Not the flowers, not the dinners, not the moments designed to impress. Just this. Standing in her own kitchen on a Tuesday evening, Nick at the counter reading the back of a seasoning bottle like it was a novel, and her realizing she had stopped bracing for when he would leave. "You're using too much of that," she said. "I'm adding flavor. You're adding a whole personality that this chicken didn't ask for." Nick laughed without looking up. "Trust the process." Ciara leaned against the refrigerator and watched him. Really watched him. The way he moved around her kitchen like he'd been there 100 times. Because he had. Somewhere along the way, 100 times had happened without either of them counting. She should have found that alarming. Instead, it felt like something she'd been hungry for without knowing the name of the thing. "Hand me the pan," he said. She handed it to him before he finished the sentence. They both noticed that. Neither said anything. The food came out well. They ate at her counter instead of the table, something they'd started doing without ever deciding to. Easier, less formal, more like people who already knew each other. Afterward, he was washing the pan and she was leaning on the counter beside him, and he said it the way he said most true things, without making a production of it. "You know this isn't casual anymore, right?" Ciara looked at him. He kept washing the pan, not pressing, not performing, just saying the thing that was already true and letting her decide what to do with it. For a long moment, she didn't say anything, but she didn't walk away either, and Nick, who had learned to read Ciara Munro better than most people ever got the chance to, understood exactly what that meant. The real version. Jazz had a system. When something bothered her, she talked louder. When something scared her, she made it funny. When someone got too close to a real feeling, she redirected before they could land on it. It had worked for years. It was still working. Mostly. "Girl, are you even listening?" her client asked from the chair. Jazz blinked back into the conversation. "Obviously, you were saying Marcus did the thing with the car again. I said Marcus apologized. Right. Same energy." Her client laughed. Jazz laughed. And somewhere in the back of her mind, the sentence was still sitting there like it always was now. "I'd like to meet the version of you that isn't performing." She hadn't told anyone he said that, not even the girls, because telling them would mean admitting it had stuck, and admitting it had stuck would mean explaining why, and she wasn't ready to explain why yet. Her last client left at 6. She locked up slowly, walked home instead of calling a car. The apartment was quiet the way it got on evenings she hadn't filled with plans. She had specifically not made plans. She told herself that wasn't about anything. She made tea she didn't drink, checked her phone twice, put it face down, picked it up again, opened a new message, typed, "I've been thinking about what you said," deleted it, typed, "That comment was actually kind of rude," also true, also deleted, typed, "I'm not performing right now, see?" Deleted that too. She put the phone down, looked at the ceiling, picked it up, typed, "What are you doing?" 3 words, no subtext, no performance, no explanation attached. Sent it before she could think about it any further. Then she turned the phone face down, pulled a pillow over her face, and lay perfectly still. She did not care whether he responded. She was completely unbothered. She was already asleep, basically. Her phone buzzed. Jazz did not move for a full 4 seconds. Then she sat up very quickly and was very calm about it. 2 different futures.
Aidan took her to a rooftop bar on a Friday afternoon. He'd texted that morning, "Clear your evening, something good." The view was worth the spontaneity. The city stretched out below them like a reward. Aidan was like that. He made ordinary Fridays feel like events. He had a gift for momentum, for pulling you into the current of a day before you thought to ask where it was going. He leaned over the railing beside her and said, "Tell me something you've never told anyone on a first date." "This isn't our first date." "Okay, something you've never told anyone on a rooftop." Ava laughed despite herself. "You're exhausting." "You keep showing up anyway." That was also true. She drove home still smiling, the city lights following her all the way. On Sunday, she ran into Corey in the lobby. He was coming back from somewhere with a grocery bag in each hand, and he held the elevator without being asked. They rode up without speaking, which with Corey never felt like awkward silence, it just felt like quiet. "You eaten?" he said when the doors opened on her floor. "Not yet." "Come up, I made too much." No performance, no production, just, "Come up, I made too much." She followed him. They ate at his kitchen table, and he told her about a project he was working on, something with architecture, the way space could make people feel safe or exposed without them knowing why. Ava found herself listening the way she rarely let herself listen, without preparing what to say next. When she left an hour later, she felt full in a way that had nothing to do with the food. That night, she sat on her couch and tried to sort it out. Aidan made her feel alive. Corey made her feel like herself. The difference she was realizing was not small. She had spent years believing she knew what she wanted, the right credentials, the right energy, the right amount of effort without the wrong amount of need. But nobody had told her that two entirely different men could both be right in two entirely different ways. This wasn't choosing between a mistake and a good decision. This was choosing between two futures. And for the first time in a long time, Ava didn't know which one she wanted more. Something's off. Brianna had decided to stop looking for things. She had made this decision twice already this week. Both times it had lasted until something small pulled her attention back to the same quiet, unsettling place. Tonight, she was trying again. Dinner was good. She had made his favorite, not because she was trying to prove something, at least she didn't think so, but because she still knew what his favorite was, and she still wanted him to feel that. He said it was good, kissed her forehead, sat down with his phone. She watched him from the kitchen, the way he held the phone at an angle, the way he smiled at it without looking up to share whatever it was. She told herself that was nothing. People smiled at phones. She smiled at her phone. "You've been busy lately," she said from across the counter. "Work's been a lot." "Is it work?" He looked up. What else would it be? She shrugged, poured herself a glass of water, took her time. "It just feels like you spend more time with Brian than me lately." Jay blinked. Then he laughed, short, easy, the kind of laugh that was supposed to close a conversation. "Brian? Brie, we work together. You know how it is when there's a deadline." "I know. I'm just saying." "You're saying what?" She met his eyes. "I'm saying I miss you, that's all." Something moved across his face, quick, gone before she could name it. "I'm right here," he said. He smiled, picked up the remote, put on something she hadn't said she wanted to watch, and the subject was changed.
Brianna sat beside him and watched the screen without seeing it. Because he had answered the missing her part, he hadn't answered the Brian part, and she was starting to understand that not answering was its own kind of answer.
What we don't say. The group chat started, as it often did, with Jazz sending something chaotic. Jazz, update. I texted him. I am choosing not to have feelings about his response. Jazz, the response was very good, by the way. Jazz, anyway, I'm fine. Avi, you are not fine. Ciara, absolutely not fine. Brianna, the way you led with I'm choosing not to have feelings. Jazz, I said what I said. Okay, well, since we're updating, Ciara, Nick said something tonight. Ciara, and I didn't run. Avi, Ciara. Brianna, what? Jazz, I'm sorry, she didn't run. Ciara, I didn't run. Jazz, who are you? Ciara, I genuinely don't know, but she stayed, so... Avi, okay, this is a big week for all of us, because I also had a moment. 2 moments, actually, with 2 different people, on 2 different days, and I need someone to tell me that having good options is still a problem. Jazz, it absolutely is a problem, and I will not be explaining why. Brianna, the way Avi said 2 different people like she's filing a report. Avi, I am filing a report. The report is, feelings are inconvenient and I want a refund. Ciara, no refunds. Jazz, store credit only. Brianna, terms and conditions apply. A pause. The natural rhythm of the conversation settling. Then, Jazz, Bri, you're quiet. Quieter than usual, I mean. Brianna, I'm here, just thinking. Ciara, you good? A longer pause. Brianna, yeah, just tired, I think. Tonight was fine. Everything's fine. Avi, okay. Jazz, okay. Ciara, okay. None of them pushed, because sometimes the most loving thing you could do was hold space for what someone wasn't ready to say yet. Another quiet moment passed. Then Avi typed the question she'd been sitting with all week, the one that had come out of watching Ciara hold still for once, and Jazz admit she cared about something, and her own chest feel full and complicated in ways she didn't have the right word for. Avi, when did we all get so scared of being happy? The typing bubbles appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Nobody answered, because every woman in that conversation had a different answer, and every answer was the truest thing she hadn't said yet.